Okay, so welcome to today's masterclass. It's the SOULIGNMENT Masterclass. Thank you so much for taking part in the 5-day journey into soul alignment. I've already been getting feedback from people that have actually finished it, and feedback saying how much it's been really helping them to have a bit more focus, to have clearer energy, and to be able to have a tool to shift their vibration and their mood and energy. So don't worry if you haven't had a chance to watch all the sessions. They are going to be available until 5 p.m. this Friday. After that, I will be restricting access until I run the program again, probably in the new year. Okay, so let's get on. So what we're going to be covering this afternoon, I reckon that we're going to be here about an hour and 15 minutes, about that time. Some of the things that we're going to be covering, I'm going to be helping you to understand what soul alignment can really do for you. And I'll be sharing some easy soul hacks to help you get into soul alignment quickly. And also I will be sharing how to create a regular practice without becoming overwhelmed. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes, you know, when you hear about all these things that can be really helpful, it's a bit like information overload, and it can become so overwhelming that you don't actually get on and do anything. And then I'll be sharing with you the one thing that made the absolute biggest difference to me. And then if I might, if you give me permission, I would like to share with you how I can actually help you on your soul alignment journey. So just wanted to clarify that soul alignment, it's so much more than goal setting. And I know that with the 5-day journey into soul alignment, it was a process to help you get into writing your aligned goal and taking action. But the soul alignment process is more than that. The purpose of soul alignment is to find a way to get us in touch with our inner world, to find that place of self-acceptance and love, and to create from the light that shines within us. Because when we are shining brightly, we just cannot help but attract more light towards us. So it's about developing our skills so that we can be our own best soul coach. So I wanted to share a little bit about who I am. So this is me, or rather this is the body that I chose to be born into. A baby girl born on the 19th of November 1965. So yes, that does actually make me 52 on Sunday. And I use the words, the body that I chose to be born into, because I came to the truth several years ago, that I am in fact a soul having a human experience, and I'm having a human experience in this lifetime, but I've also had human experiences in lifetimes before me, and I will continue to have experiences lifetimes afterwards. When I embraced that truth, it made such a difference to me. And maybe if I talk a bit more about my journey, it'll help you to understand. So if I may, I would like to share with you my very irreverent journey from trauma into soul alignment, because actually what I did choose this body to be born into, I also chose the life that I was born into, and it was a life of trauma. So this is my story, a rather irreverent story. And it all started in what I fondly call the House of Horrors. It was a 1960s semi-detached house in the suburbs, just like hundreds of others, with a garage and a driveway. And I like to call the driveway that was next to the house the driveway of life, because this driveway represented all the events that I had experienced up until the ages of 7 or 8. The sexual abuse from my father, the hypercritical mother, being the youngest sibling of 4, my early experiences at school, the bedwetting, the name calling. You kind of get the picture. But it also informed the decision as to whether I turned left or right at the end of the driveway. Because turning right at the end of the driveway to life would have taken me on the road to emotional freedom, and turning left would take me on the road to emotional pain. So when I was ready to flee the nest, to go out on my own, I got to the end of the driveway and I couldn't actually see that there was a right turn. I was blinded to it. I was blinded to that turn that would have taken me down the road to emotional freedom. Blinded because I couldn't, because of all those early childhood memories that were buried deep down, unacknowledged, suppressed, deep enough to allow me to get on with living. So I set off, unaware, on my journey down the road to emotional pain. And the first place that I stopped off at was a little flat above a shops. It was my first taste of freedom. And what do you think I did? Yeah, I partied hard like any other 18-year-old who had just landed their first job and freedom from overbearing parents. And there was a name for my first home as an independent young woman, and it was called the House of Slow Addictions. Because what happened when I left the home of my birth was that I started to remember my childhood, and it would come back to me in flashes of images and sensations. And the more these images came into my head, the more I partied hard to obliterate them, until I ended up living in a place called Shamesville. Now, my journey continued along more than my fair share of dead ends and cul-de-sacs, passing through a town called Stress and High Achievers Row, past the village of Remorse and Rejection City. And along the way, I encountered several roundabouts sponsored by worry, anxiety and frustration, passing through Sad City until I eventually ended up in Depression Town. And it's so funny because I've shared this story many times, but whenever I get to that point, as you can probably hear, it still affects me, because I stayed in Depression Town for many, many years. It was several decades, actually. And it was a grey little town, not much life in it. And the only way to escape the drudgery of Depression Town was to drink myself to happiness. But it never lasted, because the next day would always look grayer than the one before. I had to find a way out of this life, out of this pain. But every time I set out on the road to emotional pain, I kept encountering the roundabouts of worry, anxiety and frustration. It was impossible. No matter how often I set off, I always ended up back where I started, in Depression Town. And eventually I ended up in Psychoville, the House of Insanity, for real. I was lucky enough to escape the House of Insanity after just 8 days, but my experience there was bad enough for me to promise myself that I would never go back, that no matter what it took, I would never end up in the House of Insanity again. But it was whilst I was there that I often heard these whispers of a mythical land with places to live called Happy Town, Love City and Peaceville. And I was curious to know more of these mythical places, how one could get there. So when I was discharged from the House of Insanity, I sought out the wisdom of Dr. Feelgood. And this is what Dr. Feelgood had to say to me. He told me that to get to Happy Town, Love City and Peaceville, there was a road I needed to take called the Road to Emotional Freedom. But he said I would have to find this road myself, that it was a journey I needed to discover for myself. But he was a kind and wise doctor, so he sent me along on various quests through counselling, group therapy, cognitive behavioural therapy, meditation and spiritual connection. Eventually, I found my way to the Road to Emotional Freedom, only to discover that this too was a bumpy road with roundabouts sponsored by worry, anxiety and frustration. And sometimes I would get so caught up with what was happening on the roundabouts that I would miss my turning and have to go round again. But in the end, my journey took me to a magic roundabout. And the magic roundabout led me to discovering emotional freedom technique. This strange thing that is a part of energy psychology and described as being a bit like acupuncture but without needles. I was very wary at first of not quite believing how something so simple could be so effective, but it was effective. And little by little, I started to clear away some of those old traumas and old beliefs that kept pulling me back towards the road to emotional pain. So where has the road to emotional freedom led me? Well, it's led me to my own version of Peaceville. It's led me here today. This is me. These were all photos taken in the last few months. So it's taken me to living in my dream home, which I manifested, with a husband who is really kind and generous and loving. I have 2 beautiful grown-up children who are on their own journey as adults. I've got 4 crazy cats, one of which very kindly kept me awake most of the night last night with her wailing. But most of all, where I am today is running my own business, doing what I love every single day. And I'm living a life that is aligned with my soul purpose, to being filled with peace, happiness and contentment, which I could never have imagined would be possible for this little girl. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine. Sorry, I'll get weepy again. I don't know what's wrong with me. It must be the lack of sleep. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that I would get a grip, that I would imagine that I would ever be able to overcome the level of trauma and despair that I had felt most of my adult life. But I'm telling you, I have. And the only reason I'm emotional about it now is because every day it feels like such a true gift and such a blessing. So my journey is really to support other women in helping them to discover what their own roadblocks are, to help them overcome them, to help them step into their own true power and live the life that they know they were born to live. So what is it that soul alignment can really do for you? So this is what it has done for me. And trust me, I'm not that special. I'm not that much of a special person. I don't have magic powers that you couldn't possibly develop for yourself. So if I've experienced all of this through the process of soul alignment, then trust me, you can too. So it'll help you to give up the hustle and struggle of trying to force things to work in your life or in your business. It's going to help you to release the frustration of feeling stuck in your business, not knowing where to go, not knowing what direction you should be going. It's going to help you to have that deeper connection to yourself and your soul. And when you get that deeper connection to your soul, that's when you get in touch with those core virtues of the soul, of the truth, of peace, of love, of happiness, of joy, of contentment. It'll help you to create more ease in your life. Seriously, when I'm getting into the flow of doing the morning soul cleanse, it's I create so much content that I never have to think about what I'm going to be writing on Facebook or on my blog post. And I just find that I'm so productive and creative and focused and have more clarity on what I should be doing and where I should be going. And yes, the engagement on social media has, well, it's gone out the window for me. It's pretty much doubled since I have got in touch with this process. And I kid you not, there are times when I can just feel the buzz of energy and inspiration flowing through me. And I'm writing, and I write on Facebook and I hit publish. It's happened to me happens on a weekly basis, that as soon as I hit the publish button, I go away and make a cup of tea or get a drink of water. I come back and I kid you not, there is a message waiting for me on Messenger of someone who said, I've just read your post. I really want to talk to you about working with you. I've never had that kind of response. And I've been going for like nearly 2 years, longer than 2 years. No, not quite 2 years. I'm losing track of time. Anyway, another thing that you'll also notice is better health and more energy. So I've been in the last month, there's 4 adults living in this household, and all of them have had colds and coughs and colds and coughs. It's been one after the other. Well, I'm immune to it because I'm just buzzing on high vibration and energy. So how are you going to keep in soul alignment? Now, you've got your basic process that we did in the 5-day journey into soul alignment. And these are some easy soul hacks that are going to help you to get into that place of bliss and alignment. Now, the first one on there is sleep. Now, it might be a bit obvious, because if you don't have enough sleep, then you can start feeling a bit grumpy and a bit sort of discombobulated. I love that word. Anyway, there's another thing to think about with sleep, and that's how we prepare ourselves for sleep. Because when we are just about to enter into 8 hours of deep unconscious thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could program our minds to think of positive things, to think of things that we want to attract more in our life? Well, we can do that. And we can do that. One of the ways we can do that is through gratitude. So I know a lot of people do have a gratitude journal. And whether you write your gratitude in the morning or you write your gratitude in the evening, what is really useful to do is just to think of those things that you have been grateful for during the day before you fall into sleep, rather than focusing on what's gone wrong or what you didn't do so well or what you didn't manage to get round to doing. Focus on the things that you are thankful for, that you are grateful for. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're more likely to find more things to be grateful for. Okay, so that's sleep and gratitude. Now, affirmations. I am such a huge fan of affirmations. I came across Louise Hay, the Queen of Affirmations, who sadly transitioned from this life earlier this year. But she was reading her book, You Can Heal Your Life. Oh, there's a great story around that. So I first bought that book, I think I was in my 30s. No, I think I was even younger, actually. It was about the first time that I was going through counselling, trying to get to grips with the trauma. And I remember the counsellor suggesting Louise Hay's book, and I picked it up and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, this is just a load of rubbish. And I put it on the shelf. And it stayed there for 15 years. Now, I had lots of decluttering moments over those 15 years. I've moved house several times, but I still held on to that book, because when I was ready to read it, oh boy, did it blow my mind. And that's when I really fell in love with affirmations, because not only can they help you with your physical conditions, but they can also help with attracting that what you want to you. Honest, that doesn't make sense, but you get what I mean. So a word of warning about affirmations, if you're writing them for yourself, is to be mindful of what affirmations you are saying. Are you putting any conditions on your affirmations? So I'll give you an example. So one of the affirmations that I wrote, I think it was last week, and until it kind of clicked with me, it was, I trust that if I keep showing up and doing the work that I am called to do, that I will be richly rewarded. Now, the problem with that affirmation is it's conditional. And we live in a limitless universe. And the only condition that the universe puts on us is that we become a vibrational match for what it is that we want to attract. So you remember the exercise in the 5-day journey into soul alignment, where we really got in touch with the feelings and the emotions of our goals? That's why, so that we are becoming a vibrational match for what we are wanting to attract. So when you're writing the affirmations, make sure they are not that you're not placing any conditions upon the affirmations. Hope that makes sense. Another thing about affirmations is I really like using them with vision boards. So the vision board, I see that as a visual affirmation. So, you know, the vision boards where you cut out images of what it is that you want to attract, and then you have it where you can see it. So that's your visual affirmation. So another way, another easy way to connect to your soul is through meditation. Now, I do practice meditation every single day, but at the moment I'm not disciplined enough to sit and observe my breath for much longer than a few minutes. I find my mind just wanders off. That's a work in progress. But what I find, the meditations that really work for me are the guided visual meditations. And there are so many that you can actually choose from on YouTube. My favorite one tends to be, I don't know if you've ever come across him, Steve Noble, the Soul Matrix. He really does go quite deep. He also uses hypnotherapy in his meditations as well. Oh, just remembered something about affirmations. What was it? Oh yeah, really cool app. Thank you, Laura, for pointing this out the other day, a really cool app that you can get is called Think Up. So that's Think Up, UP. And this is an affirmation app. So the free version of this app, you can write and record 4 of your own specific affirmations. You record it and then you can play it back with some soothing music. So once you've recorded your affirmations, what I do now in the morning, so when I'm getting up and making my cup of tea first thing in the morning, is I just plug my earphones in and I just hit play, so that the first thing I'm thinking about are these stream of positive affirmations. Okay, let's go back. So the journaling, we pretty much covered that in the 5-day the 5-day journey into soul alignment. So I gave you lots of different methods of how you could use journaling, so how you can have conversations with your soul, the morning soul cleanse, to release the garbage in your brain, to give yourself a nice clean start, fresh start to the day. But remember with the morning soul cleanse that it's not just about having that morning moan fest. It's also about getting round to the truth of who you really are. So if you find that you're journaling lots of pages and all you're doing is having a bit of a moan about what's going on for you, take a pause and just ask your soul, what is it I need to learn from this? What guidance do you have for me in this situation? What is it you want to be telling me right now? So get back to the truth from your soul. So get back to that place of love and acceptance. And also I did that spiraling exercise with you. I know I really love that. So I still do that, once or twice a week, so that I can really get in touch with the virtues from the soul. So another thing that I use every day is tapping. Now, it's not that I will spend hours doing my EFT tapping. Quite often what I do is just tap in affirmations or tap in my gratitudes, because the process of the tapping, sometimes it doesn't really matter what you're saying, but if you're tapping on those points every single day, what you're doing is you're sending a message directly to your amygdala, to your stress response center, and it slows down the production of cortisol, the stress hormone. So the more that you tap, the more regularly that you tap, the less cortisol you will be producing, the less stress you're going to be feeling. But I do use tapping for quite big heavy duty blocks, and whenever they come up I will use journaling exercises, but I'll also use tapping as well to release them. And I was reminded yesterday, I was having a chat with someone, and I was reminded yesterday how my very first proper experience of tapping was when I went along to the 3-day training. And prior to that, I had spent the best part of 15 years experiencing chronic fatigue, and it had been getting gradually worse and worse, where I was at the point I could only do part-time job. I didn't have the energy to be working full-time. And when I was made redundant, I was a little bit worried about how I could find a job, because my previous job, when I was employed, they were very flexible. I was contracted to work 4 days, but I was able to spread those 4 days over 7. I was able to work from home so that I could have afternoon naps and things. That was my life. I find that really hard to believe, because after the weekend introduction and level 1 and 2 of emotional freedom technique, I didn't experience any of those symptoms again. It just went. And I was a bit baffled because I wasn't even tapping on having chronic fatigue. I had been tapping on clearing some of the massive emotional blocks from my childhood. And I guess the result was it released this energy. So I went from, not being able to do a full day's work to now I tend to work 7 days a week because it's my choice, but I'm also putting in like 10-hour days sometimes, and I don't get exhausted. I'm just so filled up with energy, buzzing with excitement. I just want to keep creating. I want to keep relating with other people. So that's how tapping can help you with your soul alignment, because it's not just the emotional blocks that will take us out of alignment, but also the physical symptoms that we might be experiencing. So if you've got any long-term physical conditions, tapping is brilliant to help ease some of the symptoms. But I also wanted to share with you some feedback from how one of my clients that I had in the summer and how it helped her. So she said, Jane, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for our EFT session to release my study block and the script that you gave me to tap on daily afterwards. I managed somehow to get all of the assignments done in 3 weeks, basically my entire year's work, and not lose my sanity. Now, just to give a bit of background, what had been going on for Jules was that she was qualified as a hypnotherapist. She was also in the process of doing a nutritional course, and she'd been trying to develop her website for 2 years, but was so incapacitated by perfectionism that the website wasn't done, and that she had 3 weeks left and she hadn't written one single assignment for her nutrition course. And if she didn't submit all of the assignments on time, she would have to retake the whole year again. So she said, I loved how you helped me trace it back to its origin, then releasing the perfectionism that I started to place on myself at that time. I felt you really understood what I was going through, and didn't try to trivialize what was a very big stubborn block for me. So her very big stubborn block came from childhood, from school. So she had been someone who was a very high achiever at school, always getting the top grades, always the top of her class. And she would receive a lot of praise from her family, from her teachers. And then she remembered this one time when she had put her hand up she'd put her hand up to, I think it was a spelling, you have given a long word and you had to spell it out. So she put her hand up to spell it out and got it wrong. And everyone laughed at her. And she felt such deep shame that it had planted this belief in her that everything had to be absolutely perfect, and it was crippling her. So just one session and then providing her with a tapping script helped her to release those blocks so that she was able to get on and submit her assignment on time and keep her sanity. So that's pretty good going, isn't it? So what else can help you get into or to stay in soul alignment? Exercise, moving our bodies. Now, if you're a solopreneur like me and you work from home, it might be that you don't get out that often. to exercise, and I know that that was happening to me quite often. So I just do 15-20 minutes in the morning yoga. I do it, I watch it on YouTube and I just follow along, and it's made a real big difference, because you need to kind of wake your body up to get the vibration going. Music. Now my lovely social media mentor, Veronica, she introduced me to the idea of having a high vibe playlist. So I've got tunes on a playlist that are specifically to raise my vibration, to raise my energy. So before I do anything, before I go to post or write a webinar or speak or deliver a workshop, if I'm feeling a little bit low in energy, I will just hit one of those tunes, grab a hairbrush for a microphone and sing to my heart's content to raise my vibration. So another one to think, another really good soul hack is play. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, but I was listening this morning at, something like 4 o'clock this morning, when my kitten was making such noise that I couldn't sleep. And they were just talking about the importance of laughter, the importance of having fun. And they were saying that there is the fastest way for you to get into alignment with what you're trying to attract is to be joyful, to have fun and play. And then the last one on the list is crystals. And that might seem a bit random, but I'm someone I've been attracted to crystals for many years, but not really got that much into them or really thought about how I can use them in my soul alignment practice. But I had I was fortunate enough to interview Gemma Hills, who runs a crystal club, and so I interviewed her. We did a Facebook Live last week, and we interviewed her to talk about crystals and to talk about how they can help you on your connection to spirit, how they can help you to stay in alignment. So if you're interested, I'll be dropping that video into the group so you can have a look and pick up some tips, on what crystals are really good to use, and B, how to use them in your soul alignment journey. Okay, so how to create a regular practice without the overwhelm. Well, hopefully you're not feeling completely and utterly overwhelmed with that whole list of things that you can do to help you stay in soul alignment. Because I don't know about you, but in the past, when I've tried to follow someone's guidance, or in terms of this is what you need to be doing for a morning mindset routine, I would do it for a while and then it would just get too overwhelming. There was too much, it would take too long, and I would just one by one stop doing it. So what I recommend to do, if you are creating a new practice, introduce one thing at a time and try it out for at least a week to see what works for you. Pick and choose what works for you. So I would always say that the basic stable would be the morning soul cleanse, because that's where you're letting go of anything that you're holding on to, and you're getting back into that place of love and acceptance. Everything else that I've told you since then, pick and choose what really works for you, and try one thing out for at least a week before you make a decision as to whether it's going to work for you. Because sometimes when we're trying new things, they can feel a bit uncomfortable, and it's easy for us to give up. So give it a go. And remember, what works for me might not work for you. and it might not work for someone else, because we are all incredibly unique individuals. So what did I want to say about changing habits or creating habits? How long does it take? Now, there's been quite a long-standing myth in the coaching world that it only takes 21 days of repeated action to create a new habit. That is a myth, I'm afraid. So there was a scientific study that was done several years ago because they wanted to prove if this was actual reality. What they discovered, and I can't remember how many people they had on the study, but it was quite a significant study, was that when it comes to creating new habits, to embedding them into your life so that it just becomes something that you do automatically on and without thinking, was that it could take anywhere between 2 weeks to 18 months. And there was, and in between that was a whole range. Because the reason being, we are all unique, and sometimes it will take longer. Now, I've been trying to create this morning mindset soul alignment habit pretty much since I first, when was it? Probably about 16 years ago. It's taken me that long to perfect. Okay, just going to take a bit of water. Bear with me. So, what was the one thing that really made the biggest difference for me? The thing that was a real game changer, that helped me to stop dipping in and out of these mindset practices and make sure that I had established a routine that I embrace every single day. Well, the thing that made the difference for me was investing to work with a soul coach. And I'm not saying that because I want to try and convince you that that's what you have to do. I'm just sharing with you that was the one thing that really changed it for me, because I've been trying on my own to establish a morning routine to really clear my mind, but I was still finding that I was coming out of alignment and struggling to make things work, and I didn't understand what was going on. So my coach really supported me through the process to help me discover what those blocks were, to help me come back to the truth of who I am, a soul, a loving soul who is having a human experience, because that's the truth of who I am. And working with her, I think the big difference was because I had the accountability, because I had to communicate with her every single day what was going on, what I was doing, how I was feeling. And then she would feed back and give me some tips on what I could be doing to shift my energy, to shift my focus, if I was focusing on something that wasn't working for me. But I think the one thing that made the big difference was because it was a huge financial investment for me. And at the time, I was in debt and I had to borrow the money to work with her. But I knew I had to. I knew I had to work with her to shift things. And I think it was because I'd made such a big investment. I was determined to get my money's worth. So I did everything that she suggested, and I did the work on myself every single day. And that is what has helped me to establish this solid foundation. And it's actually the thing that helped me to get into that space where I received that massive download of how I should be working with my clients. And that's how the whole soul alignment process developed and came into being. So there was a quote that I saw yesterday, and it was quite interesting because so it's Robin Sharma, who's a Canadian personal development expert, said, so to double your income, you need to triple your investment in learning and self-development. Now, I heard that saying before, and I used to think it was just a trick. It was a trick to get people to buy your stuff. But actually, having made the investments that I have in myself, it has made a massive difference in terms of my business, what I'm doing and where I'm going. So if I may share with you how I can help you on your journey to soul alignment. Now, this is a brand new program. I've never worked in this way before, because before it was emotional freedom technique with a bit of coaching. Now I have this process. So the 5-day journey into soul alignment is the base, the kind of foundation for it, of helping people to connect to their soul. That is the thing that's going to make a big difference. If you can have that connection, then working with me, I'll help you to identify those and release those blocks that you've been holding you back, that have been keeping you stuck, the blocks that have, that like Jules experienced, that had her not writing assignments because of her perfectionism. I can help you to tune into your inner wisdom and guidance, also known as your soul, and support you in your commitment for inner transformation, so that you create a daily practice that suits your individual needs. I don't believe in telling people, do this, do exactly how I do things, and it's going to work for you. Because we are all individuals, and it's all about finding what works for you and having the support to help you, having the support of someone to help you through that. Someone to guide you as you start to embody your true self. And I was trying to think of an analogy. I was trying to think of an example in terms of how important it is that you have someone to guide you, because if you've always worked in certain ways, and they might have been dysfunctional ways and they might have been unhelpful ways, when you start to embrace this deeper connection to your soul, when you start to have these moments of pure bliss and happiness and creativity and flow, it's going to feel quite unusual. And it's useful to have someone there who can say what you're experiencing is perfectly normal. Now, let me give you an example. So, as I mentioned before, I practice yoga on a regular basis. And I'd started that commitment earlier in the year, and I'd never done yoga before. And I noticed a few weeks ago some abnormalities happening on my legs, on the top of my thighs. I started to notice that I had this, it's like a dip. So where my legs are attached to my hips, and then where the front of the thighs were, there was like this dip. in my skin and whatnot. And I was thinking, this is really weird. I don't know what this is. I'm getting a bit freaked out. I'm getting a bit scared. I think I might need to go to the doctors. And I'm someone who avoids the doctors like the plague. I never go to the doctors. But I happened to mention it to my daughter, who's done quite a fair amount of yoga. And I showed her and she just laughed and she went, "Mum, you're developing muscle tone." So it really was quite hilarious, actually, because I have never had any developed muscle tone on the front of my legs before, ever, in the whole 50 odd years of my life. I thought there was something abnormal. I thought there was something wrong. So having someone to support you through the process can really help to ground you and support you and guide you and share with you that you're okay, you're doing all right, everything's normal, or as normal as can be expected. Okay, so what is that going to do for you? So I can't guarantee that this if you work with me, you're going to, start having 6-figure months and earning 30,000 a month or whatever. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen. And the reason that I can't guarantee that's going to happen is because this is a brand new program. And like I said, I've not worked in this way with individuals before. All I can tell you is that these are the things that have been changing for me. So I've been more creative and more productive. I'm starting to attract the right kind of clients to work with me. And that sometimes it's quite instantaneous. Like I was saying before, I hit post and then a few minutes later, I've got someone sending me a message saying, "Can we have a conversation? I think I need to work with you." Increase confidence. So this morning when I woke up and having had very little sleep, I still hadn't finished writing my presentation. Normally, in the past, I would normally have written verbatim exactly what I was going to say, how I was going to talk to the slides. I'm just free flowing at the moment. And so I hope I'm not waffling. But having this practice of soul alignment, working in this way with myself, has increased my confidence to be able to do that, and also give me the permission not to be perfect all the time. So another thing you might find is that you start selling your services with ease. So you let go of those let go of the feeling uncomfortable about how much, those awkward conversations that you felt in the past. When you start stepping into your true power, when you start embodying all that you are meant to be, when you step away or step into the version of yourself before life came along and fucked things up, when you step into this powerful version of yourself, you will know that the true value of your services, and that will make it so much easier for you to sell your services to your ideal clients. So another thing that you might notice is an improvement in your general health and well-being. So like I said, I've managed to avoid the cold flu virus over the last month. I've also noticed that my back is vastly improved, because each week or each day I'm going deeper and deeper into my practice, and it's starting to have a knock-on effect to my physical well-being. And my back, I've had constant pain in my back for over 6 years now, and I've had so many different types of treatments. But what I notice is when I am really in alignment, when I am in my flow of creativity, when I've got that buzz of energy, I feel no pain in my back. Doesn't mean to say that it's not there at other times of the day. I just know that when I am in that space, I don't feel any pain. So the other thing, you might start smiling for no apparent reason. My husband came home on Friday from work after having a particularly difficult day, and he was quite resentful of the fact that I'm always smiling and happy these days. Bless him. I am still trying to persuade him to join me on this journey, because it makes such a difference. Okay, and just to remember that when you're working with someone one-to-one, and it's not just me, it can be anyone, no one can actually guarantee the exact results that you are going to have from working with them, because it's all about co-creation. It's all about the energy that's exchanged between the two of you. It's about the connection that two of you can make, and there are such an infinite number of possibilities of what might happen in that co-creation process. Okay, so this was Gemma's experience of working with me again back in the summer. I'm just going to take another gulp of drink. Okay, so this was just one session that I had with Gemma, and she says that Jane blends her coaching and EFT skills beautifully to create the balance needed to tackle what is holding you back. She helped me untangle what I was faced with, choose where best to start, and then simply step forward. I couldn't anticipate the huge results I had within only 4 days of our session together. A coincidence? No. The issue I had presented to Jane had been reoccurring for the best part of 14 years, and we actually realised it had been a lifelong pattern. I had tried many approaches, including burying my head, and it's absolutely no coincidence that it's falling into place. EFT is amazing, coaching is wonderful. Jane makes the combination magical and literally life-changing. And I promise you, I didn't pay her to say that. So, like I said, this is a brand new program. And what it is 33 days into soul alignment. Now, what's included in this program is 2 one-to-one deep dive soul alignment sessions of around about 90 minutes each. Sometimes they might go on a bit longer. And we have that at the beginning of the program and one at the end. So the beginning of the program is about helping you to become really clear about what it is that you want to achieve over the 33 days. It's the setting up. We also get stuck in on clearing away some of those blocks and resistance. We have a 60-minute refocus session in the middle of the 33 days. And then we have another deep dive session at the end of those 33 days to put together everything that you've learnt over the 33 days, but also to keep with the clearing of those blocks and to really embed the vision of what you want your future life to be like. Okay. Included with it is unlimited messengers support for daily check-ins to keep you on track. And this is one thing that I know made a big difference in the program that I signed up to, was knowing that I had to check in every single day and be really upfront and honest about what was going on for me. And then the support from the coach was right back, giving me ideas of what to do, how to get out of it. Because I don't know about you, sometimes if things start going wrong, I can stay stuck in my head for hours, if not days. So having that unlimited messenger support to keep you on track, to keep you in soul alignment is really, really incredible. So 3 bespoke tapping guides. So in the testimonial that I shared from Jules, I had given her a bespoke tapping guide, what she could tap on to help her stay focused, to get her assignments. So after each session, you'll have your own bespoke tapping guide. So it will be covering some of the issues that were raised in the tapping session, because we're all about clearing the things from the past to help us to step into alignment with what we want in the future. Okay, so if I've just realized that I've not really explained tapping so much, but one of the things that we do, whatever issue we have, whether it's emotional, whether it's a block in our business, whether it's physical, during the process of a tapping session, I would always ask, when was the first time you remember feeling like this? What emotion is connected to how you're feeling? When was the very first time that you can ever remember feeling like this? And usually it's connected to an event in childhood. Once we can connect to that event in childhood, we tap on the meridian points to release the emotional intensity connected to the block. And once that's released, you then tap in all the lots of lovely, lovely positive stuff, the things that you want to be attracting. So the investment for the 33 days into soul alignment program. So after I have done this promotion with you guys, and this is at the moment, it's just for those who have taken part in the 5-day journey into soul alignment. When I go to promoting this to general public, I'm going to be promoting this program at the price of £999. But I want to offer it to you for £555, and that offer is open until 3 p.m. next Tuesday, so Tuesday the 21st of November. But because you've taken the trouble of showing up and staying tuned right to the very end, thank you very much, I'm offering you a 24-hour fast action price of £333, and that's going to be good up until 3 p.m. tomorrow. Lots of repetitive numbers, so you might be wondering what's that all about. So I love numerology. I don't know a huge amount of it. I just know that it's a way of another way that I get, another sign I get that I am on the right track when I start seeing repetitive numbers, and quite often I will Google it and find out what they actually mean. Now, the 33 days into soul alignment came to me. In numerology terms, my birthday, I am number 33, and number 33 is connected to what they call Christ consciousness. So it's the teacher. And when I had a numerology reading quite a long time ago, gosh, it must have been over 10 years ago, and someone was explaining to me that, you know, you've got the Christ conscious number, that's amazing, you know, it is for teachers and leaders. It's for spiritual teachers and leaders. And at the time I was working in mental health, and I was like, yeah, it's not really me. But I can tell you now, I really do feel like I'm stepping into that role now. So that's why all the number patterns, because I love the energy connected to the numbers. Now you can upgrade to the 99 days of soul alignment program, which basically you triple what you get. all for £999. So you get what you get with the 33 days program, but it's tripled. That offer is going to be remaining for the whole offer period until 3 p.m. Tuesday, the 21st of November. Now, you might be asking, well, what's the difference between the 33-day program and the 99-day program? And I guess, I mean, they're the same, but it all depends on where you are at with your journey. So if you've never established a morning mindset routine ever, I would say to start with the 99-day program, because you really need to get into that habit and that routine. If you've already had a mindset routine, but it's not quite working for you, and you still find that you've got blocks, then I would say the 33-day into soul alignment. Does that make sense? But in order for you to progress, I'm not going to say, here's my glossy sales page. For one, I didn't get around to doing it, and that's okay, because I'm allowed not to be perfect. But I didn't want you to just click pay or purchase without us having a conversation first, because I think it's really important that when we're doing this work that we feel we have a connection with each other. There is no point in you signing up to do a program if when it comes to us talking to each other, it feels mismatched. So you can guarantee that I will not take your money from you if I don't feel that we are an energetic match for each other. And I also won't take more than I think you need. So if during the conversation, if you've booked a call and you said, well, I'm actually interested in doing the 99 days. If during the conversation I thought, actually, you don't need it, I'm not going to take that money just for the sake of it. I will tell you. And the reason you can trust me on that is because even when I was really in debt last year, I was turning work away. I was turning people away because I knew it wasn't right for them. And I knew that I would not be able to stay in integrity if I took their money. Okay? So who is the 99 days, 33 days, or even the 99 days into soul alignment for? So this is for you if you are open to trying whatever it takes to reach your dreams. If you've had enough of playing it small, if you really know what you want out of life, but you keep coming up against blocks, if you embrace the knowledge that you are indeed the creator of your own reality, if you are absolutely committed to going deep into the inner transformation work necessary to release the blocks, and if you value yourself enough to make this commitment to change. So I will just remind you again what this program involves. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to start typing them now, and then I can get to the questions at the end. So just as a reminder, the investment for the 33-day program, days into soul alignment. So the price after Tuesday the 21st of November is going to be £999, but you can have it for £555. But if you act now, if you book a call with me before tomorrow at 3 p.m, we don't even have to speak before then, as long as you've just booked a date in the diary. If you book the call before 3 p.m. tomorrow, you will get this program for £333. So the upgrade to the 99 days of soul alignment is triple what you get with the 33-day program. for £999, and that is available at that price until next Tuesday at 3 p.m. So that just about finished. We just about wraps it up. Are there any questions? Do you have any questions about anything that we've covered today or about the offer? So, oh yeah, I haven't told you how to book a call. Sorry. So to book a call, just email me, jane@jane-jackson.co.uk, or send me a message on Facebook Messenger as well. That'll work as well. Let's have a look, see if there are any messages that are coming up in the chat. So let's have a look. I'm hoping that things will come up. What have I done? I don't know what I've done. I've clicked on something and it's disappeared. Okay, I'm stopping sharing now. Let's go back to that last slide. And it was all going so well. There we go. I can't actually see the chat facility. So if any of you are typing, I apologise if I can't see it. I'm hoping that any questions will start coming up. What have I done with it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so questions. So what if I can't book a call before 3 p.m. tomorrow? So again, just send me a message before 3 p.m. tomorrow. We don't have to actually speak by then. So as long as I've got the message that you want to book a call before 3 p.m. tomorrow, I'll hold that price for you. What's the difference between the programs again, the 33 days or the 99 days? Well, the 99 days of soul alignment is really for you if you haven't already got a morning mindset routine established, if you haven't got a way of attending to your mindset every single day, then I would suggest the 99 days to help you get into the habit. Like I said, it took me a good part of 15 odd years. And the 33 days into soul alignment is really if you've got a mindset routine established, but you're still finding that you're out of alignment, that you've got blocks, then the 33-day one is for you. But don't worry, because if you're not sure which one, let's just talk, let's just have a call and we can unpick that for you. Okay, so another question is, are there any payment plans? Yes, I will be doing a payment plan, but again, it's to suit every individual need. So if you are really interested in this program and you can't afford to pay for the lump sum, please get in touch with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about how we can make that possible for you. So I think that's it. I don't think there are any other questions. Please feel free to email me any questions as well, jane@jane-jackson.co.uk. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate that. And if you're watching the replay, be aware that the fast action price is only available up until 3 p.m. tomorrow or Wednesday the 15th of November if you book the call before that date. Thank you. I will sign off for now. Bye bye.